Hi and welcome. Today I wanted to show you how to make swatches of your watercolor pencils. Also how to choose which pencils to use when you're drawing a pet portrait. So what you'll need is a sheet of watercolor paper. This one is A4, a HB pencil, a ruler, your watercolor pencils. Of course, the paper towel, some water, and a brush and a pen. So let's get started. So what I've done here is I've drawn up some squares using a HB pencil. The reason I use the HB pencil is that so it doesn't mix in with your watercolor pencils when you activate the swatches with some water. Also, the reason you want to do some swatches is so that if you're, say, doing a pet portrait, you'll be able to work out which watercolor pencil colours to use, because you'll be able to see how they're going to turn out. The other point too is I've added some spare boxes, so that, you know, if you get some more pencils as you collect them, you can continue on making swatches already, and you've got it already set up. Okay, so the first thing, I've selected some grey pencils here. I'm starting with the greys, mainly because they're quite common in pet portraits. So I'm going to start with the warm grey 2. So what I'll do is I'll write down that colour under here, so I know which pencil it's referring to. So warm grey 2. I will then turn this around, I will do a just up one end, medium pressure, and just fill that, say about a third of that in. And then I'm going to get the next colour, which is should be a warm grey 2, but I don't know where that's gone. So I will go, this is warm grey 3. Similar thing. Make sure you then write down the colour straight away before you forget what you are up to. So warm grey 3. Then the next I've got is a warm grey 4. So repeat that, and grey 4, and so you can just keep going across. I'd also recommend that you keep your colour families together, so try and put, say, all the greys together. Next row could be your browns, then your reds and your pinks, so you're keeping the same colour families in one row. Okay, so I've finished my swatches of the greys and the browns, so now we're going to activate them with the water. So the first one, I'll just dab my brush in the water, I'll dab it off a little bit, and I'll then activate that and just pull it across, so you get a bit of a range of the colour from the dark tone to the lighter. For the next one, make sure you wash the brush out so you don't contaminate it with the previous colour, and repeat again. So warm grey, I start here and I'll just drag it across like that. Wash the brush, damp it off, and into the next one. So you can see you get a whole range of colour tone for that particular colour. I'd also thought I'd mention I've got some some exciting things coming up. So I have a watercolor pencil ebook coming out soon, which basically goes over everything in more detail that you can purchase. And I'll also be having a course coming up for pet portraits in watercolor pencils. So we'll be drawing a dog, either your own dog, or I also will provide a reference. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, if you want to pop your name down below so you find out when that's happening, and you'll be the first to know. Early bird discount as well. So yeah. Okay, so that's the browns done, and I'll just continue on with the browns. You can continue then with any other colours you might have in your collection at this point. So this row would be some of the pinks. This one is salmon. And the last one I've got coral. Once again, remember to clean your brush between each colour and dab off some of the water so you don't have too much. Clean the brush, tap it off and into the colour. So that's how you would make a swatch out of all your watercolour pencils. You could then store it in a display book perhaps, so that you have a handy reference anytime you need it for your watercolour pencil projects. So in this part of the video I'll show you how we can use these swatches to work out which colours we might want to use for pet portraits. So the first thing I'm going to do is just to cut these out so we can match them up a bit easier. So just top edge of this one down here to the top of that row, so that when you cut them out you will have the swatch plus the name. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that with all of the swatches I've made. So I've decided to leave these blank boxes in here just so if I get some other pink colours that I might want to add, then that strip is already set up for the pinks. I did the same with the browns, so that's a good tip there. So we can now use these strips. So say for example we're drawing this dog, we can then go and check. I would imagine that these are going to be red pink colours, so you can then get your swatch and hold it say against the ear, and you can see that it's quite likely that burnt umber is going to be a good colour match for that area. What else? So you could add some caput mortuum in these sort of browner areas. Say a darker layer of cinnamon looks like a good match there. Areas here are a light pink colour. Again, I'd probably use the cinnamon in the very light shade of that. And you can see here that that cinnamon works very well with this little darker stripe here. If we want to try another picture, so this dog here is a rough collie. This one has a few more greys and orangey tones, and the pinks obviously. I would say for here, I would probably once again go with burnt sienna, which matches quite well for the fur here. This area is more of a brown, so I probably would use a walnut brown with several layers. There's also bits of grey up here, so you can just slide it along. Light Payne's grey looks a good match there. The lighter tones, yeah, I'd probably say a warm grey 5 would go well for the lighter tones within that area. And there's bits of browns in there, so we can check that. A walnut brown for the darker tones in here. And again, this area, I would definitely say burnt sienna would work. So you can see here how you can make some swatches and then use them to work out what colours you might want to choose for your pet portrait. These, I would say that could potentially be a Payne's grey around the nose here. So this colour goes well with that. Payne's grey is a blue grey. So that's a introduction to how you can use the swatches. In my pet portrait course, we'll be going into this in a lot more detail, and I'll also have an extra special tip to share with you, how we can do an even closer match than what I've got here. I hope that's been helpful. Choosing colours is always a little bit tricky, especially at the beginning. It is a skill that develops over time, and I can tell you that from experience. So if you can't always see all the colours at this stage, it does come with practice. Don't forget to sign up for the waitlist for my Pet Portraits in Watercolor Pencil course, so that you'll be the first to know when it's available. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. That would be fantastic.